Hello and welcome to An Epic World, brought to you by Quadrian. I'm your host, Courtney Fingar, and this is our interview series that highlights innovators, thought leaders, and trailblazers driving transformational innovation in industries and economies worldwide. Quadrian is focused on inspiring epic growth by combining the combined forces of venture investment, foreign direct investment, and special economic zones. So today we're focusing on a topic that we also really love, and that is cross border collaboration, which in fact underpins all those three forces that I just mentioned. Specifically, on this episode, we're going to talk about the growing and sometimes underappreciated synergies between Latin America and Africa. This is a very timely conversation because many of you might know that Quadrian, along with Fingar Direct Investment, we are working to support a major forum that is taking place in Luanda, Angola, November 26th to the 28th, the Africa Sustainable Investment Summit. We hope our special guest today will, in fact, join us there. But a big topic of conversation during that event will be Africa's international ties and all the opportunities that can be found with other sectors and industries around the world. So without further ado, let me welcome Dr. Angelica Herrera Munoz, Chief Executive of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce. This is an organization based in Bogota that's dedicated to strengthening trade ties between those two regions. Welcome, Angelica.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you for this time, for this conversation. I am so happy for share information about the different topics between South America and Africa. Is a great moment for business between continents.
Absolutely. And I think, especially with all the disruption that the world is in, many countries are looking for new trade partners or to strengthen trade partners, perhaps outside of North America. So it really makes sense for this South to South collaboration to grow. But first, let's take a little step back. And I want to hear a bit about the chamber, why it was founded, what's the purpose, and in a practical sense, how does it work to create that bridge between these two regions?
Okay, the core mission of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce is to create a strategic bridge that fosters trade, investment, and knowledge exchange between Latin America and Africa, because we think both regions share emerging markets, rich natural resource, dynamic job populations, and different opportunities. The goal for us is the promotion business partnership, facilitating market intelligence, and give support in different trade politics, and the principal idea is the transforms the distance economic, geographic, and promote the proximity, economic, cultural, and different topics between two continents. The principal objective the Chamber of Commerce is um, close the aspects between continents for accelerate the exchange in different aspects with economic, cultural, academic between two continents.
Fantastic. And have you seen already any growth in trade and investment between the two regions, or do you see that there's still much work to do to capitalize on the potential?
In this moment, we put focus in some sectors because it's a great job. But in this moment, I think the principal sector is, for example, clean energy and green hydrogen production, agritech and food processing innovations, fintech and digital payments, healthcare technology, and smart logistics and port modernization. Uh, these areas is the high potential between two continents, and the principal ideas for example, don't they invest, interchange the knowledge in these areas is the potential investment infrastructure and different opportunities.
And do you see the activity being driven by the governmental priorities, for example, bilateral relationships between countries, or is it really coming from the private sector, or a balance maybe?
No, it's necessary the participation at the public sector and private sector, because we need politics about for example, visas for visit citizens from Colombia to Algeria or South Africa or Egypt, for example. We need the cooperation between sector public for generate different politics and the private sector, because have available product service, but it's necessary support together. No, this possible separate. Is necessary cooperation. Yeah, and in South America, the principal economics, for example, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Brazil. Brazil have a good relationship with Africa, but it's necessary more celebrate in this moment. But it's necessary together alliance between public and private sector.
Great, thank you. And we'll talk about another, I guess, piece of that puzzle, and that is special economic zones, which is a big focus of the work that Quadrian does. Where do they fit into this? And do you see a lot of synergies between zones in Latin America and Africa where they could maybe partner for mutual benefit?
Um, for example, Africa have in Kenya different tools, machine, and knowledge is possible share with different companies in Colombia, in Peru, for work in um, different, for example, options, the clean energy, and the facilitating trade in different products. For example, it's possible to buy tea from Kenya, and Kenya is easy buy the coffee from Colombia, Dominican Republic, and the another countries, the region. Is possible done the interchange exchange, sorry, the products and service. It's necessary to learn different practice in Africa and South America, yeah, and don't they exchange the knowledge, the best practice, the for example, politics. For this reason, is so important. For example, begging the clean energy and green hydrogen, for example, or agri-tech is fantastic, because in different foods or for different products, it's necessary to learn this practice between uh, generate exchange the knowledge, for example.
Yeah, those are some very good practical examples. So we've talked a bit about the potential and some of the areas where there's already collaboration. What barriers do you see that maybe hold back some of the cooperation between these two regions, and how could those be dealt with? Does politics get in the way, for example?
Yes, for example, the politics about the investment uh, for sectors as like tourism, for example, and education and textile and food. Um, in this moment, the social cooperation is a objective for different governments. For this reason, this work for bilateral and multilateral frameworks is necessary, and it is so important. Long-term investment incentives and public-private partnerships and capacity building programs together in sectors as like biotechnology, agribusiness, uh, renewable energy, circular economy industries, for example, um, two free zones and trade facilitation is so important. These topics and promote the discussion between different governments in Africa and South America is so important because the principal sectors as for example, agricultural, textile, manufacturer is and service is the principal four sectors we can uh, work in the bilateral and multilateral frameworks, for example, for the reduce the barriers and harmonize regulation, for example.
Great. And what would be your message to global investors outside the two regions of why should they be paying attention to what happens in Latin America and Africa? How should they be viewing the potential of these two incredibly vast markets?
The principal investment in, for example, the economics, the principal economics, the Africa, um, to so Latin America, um, we think is, um, for example, in technology, development, the software, and infrastructure, because in South America, uh, we have development different industries, but the cost, the transfer, for example, in logistic for trade business is complicated, is high. For this reason, the infrastructure, the investment in infrastructure generate the different possibilities and low cost for we can send or export different goods for Africa. The challenge is the logistics is complicated because the distance is a long, is far away, but if we can development the infrastructure, we can be competitive in the market. I think the different companies in South Africa, we can investment in South America in the infrastructure, in the software, for example, too. Is so important this exchange, the investment, the opportunities between continents.
Fantastic. And I suspect in the time of tariffs, companies are rethinking supply chains and their logistics and looking for new markets, looking for new trade partners. So it will be very interesting over the next years to see how this relationship between the two um, areas continues to grow. And I know you will stay very much at the heart of that. Sadly, our time is up, Angelica, but I just want to thank you very much for dropping by to speak with us. And I desperately hope you will join us in Luanda in November, where we can talk about some of these topics and get you on stage to talk about some of these topics. So you are warmly invited, as are all your members.
Thank you for this time.
Thank you to our audience for tuning in, and be sure to join us next time to see where we take you on our a world tour of innovation. Thank you.